Ladies and gentlemen, let's talk about something most people overlook. Men navigate the world differently than women. While women often seek love, emotional connection, and deep conversations to feel secure in a relationship, men crave something that many overlook: respect. It is not that men do not want love, but rather that their primary emotional need is to feel valued, trusted, and admired for who they are and what they do. This is where most misunderstandings between men and women begin. A woman might think that showing affection, spending time together, or simply saying "I love you" is enough to keep a man emotionally fulfilled. But for a man, respect speaks louder than love. Respect is the foundation of how a man perceives himself in a relationship. When he feels respected, he feels invincible, capable of conquering challenges, and confident in his ability to lead, protect, and provide. However, when a man senses a lack of respect, he starts to withdraw, often in ways that confuse the woman in his life. He may become distant, emotionally detached, or even stop putting effort into the relationship. The reason? A man who does not feel respected does not feel needed. And when he does not feel needed, he begins to lose his sense of purpose in that relationship. The challenge is that many women do not realize how important this is. They may show their love in ways that make sense to them, but if those ways do not align with a man's emotional needs, he will not fully receive them. A woman might express love by helping him with tasks, offering emotional support, or even trying to fix his problems for him. But a man does not always want solutions. He wants to be acknowledged for his efforts. He wants to be seen as capable. This is why the words a woman speaks to a man hold so much power. A simple statement like, "I trust you to handle this," or "I appreciate everything you do," can shift his entire mood. He feels validated. He feels seen. He feels like he is fulfilling his role as a man. Unfortunately, in today's world, these words are rarely spoken. Instead, many men hear complaints about what they are not doing rather than appreciation for what they are doing. They hear criticisms more than encouragement. They feel scrutinized rather than trusted. It is important to understand that respect is not about blind submission or agreeing with everything a man says or does. It is about recognizing his value and expressing it in a way that resonates with him. A man needs to feel like his contributions, whether big or small, are acknowledged. When he works long hours to provide, he wants to know it is not taken for granted. When he makes decisions, he wants to feel that his judgment is trusted. When he tries to solve a problem, he does not want to be told how to do it. He wants to be believed in. Many women unintentionally undermine a man's confidence without realizing it. They might correct him in front of others, dismiss his ideas, or make decisions without considering his input. To them, these actions might seem minor, but to a man, they send a powerful message. You are not capable. You are not needed. And nothing makes a man shut down faster than feeling unnecessary. On the other hand, a woman who understands how to communicate respect can inspire a man to be the best version of himself. She knows that even small affirmations make a difference. Telling a man, "I trust your judgment," can make him feel more confident in his decision making. Saying, "I know you'll figure it out," when he is facing a challenge, reassures him that his abilities are recognized. And when she expresses gratitude for the little things, whether it is taking out the trash, fixing something around the house, or simply being there for her, he feels motivated to do even more. Respect also plays a critical role in how a man connects emotionally. Contrary to popular belief, men are deeply emotional beings. They may not always express their feelings the way women do, but They experience emotions just as intensely. However, a man will only be vulnerable with someone who makes him feel safe. And for him, safety is rooted in respect. He needs to know that he will not be ridiculed, belittled, or made to feel weak for sharing his thoughts and emotions. If a man opens up and is met with judgment or criticism, he will shut down and build walls that are hard to break. This is why the rare women who understand this principle, who know how to make a man feel respected, never struggle to keep his attention. They do not need to chase, demand, or beg for love. They do not need to resort to manipulation or games. Their words and actions naturally draw a man closer because they fulfill his deepest need. A man will always be drawn to the place where he feels the most respected. If he feels valued at work, he will spend more time there. If he feels respected by his friends, he will prioritize those friendships. And if he feels respected in his relationship, he will invest in it fully. The question is, does he feel that respect from you? Most people underestimate the power of appreciation, especially in relationships. Women in particular often assume that men do not need verbal validation, that their confidence is self-sustaining, and that they can function without acknowledgement. This is one of the biggest misconceptions about men. The truth is, just like anyone else, men thrive on appreciation. They may not always express their need for it, but when they do not receive it, they feel it deeply. Appreciation is not just about saying thank you for the things a man does. It is about recognizing his efforts, his sacrifices, and his presence. It is about making him feel seen. Many men go through life feeling invisible, their contributions unnoticed, their hard work unacknowledged. Society has conditioned them to believe that their worth is tied to their ability to provide, solve problems, and remain strong no matter what. But what happens when a man feels like no one notices the weight he carries? He starts to question if his efforts matter at all. A man will rarely come out and say, I need to be appreciated. He will not ask for it outright because doing so may feel like weakness to him. Instead, he will show it in subtle ways. He may withdraw, become distant, or seem less motivated. He might even stop putting in the same effort he once did, not because he no longer cares, but because he no longer feels valued. When a man is repeatedly met with silence instead of appreciation, he begins to emotionally shut down. What many women do not realize is that a man does not need constant grand gestures to feel appreciated. It is the small, simple moments that make all the difference. When he fixes something around the house, a quick, I love how you take care of things, can fuel his motivation to do more. When he comes home from work exhausted, just hearing, I know you work so hard for us and I appreciate it, can lift a burden off his shoulders. These words, though seemingly insignificant, carry a weight that can completely transform his mindset. One of the biggest mistakes people make in relationships is assuming that what goes unspoken is understood. A woman might believe that because she stays, because she cooks for him, or because she does things for him, he should just know that she appreciates him. But men do not operate on assumptions. If appreciation is not expressed, they do not feel it. They need to hear it, to experience it, to know without a doubt that their presence and their actions matter. Appreciation does not just apply to what a man does. It applies to who he is. A man wants to be appreciated not only for what he provides, but for the qualities that make him who he is. If he is a kind man, acknowledge it. If he has a strong work ethic, tell him. If he makes you laugh, let him know how much you love that about him. It is easy to focus on what is missing or what could be better in a relationship. But when you make a conscious effort to recognize what is good, everything shifts. When a man feels appreciated, he becomes more engaged. He puts in more effort. He gives more freely. He opens up emotionally in ways he never would if he felt taken for granted. The women who understand this principle never struggle to keep a man's attention because they are giving him something rare: recognition. They make him feel like he matters. And that feeling is something he will seek over and over again. Unfortunately, in many relationships, appreciation is replaced with expectation. What was once exciting and new becomes routine, and the things that once felt like a privilege start feeling like an obligation. A man who once felt valued for his efforts now feels like he is simply fulfilling a role, and when appreciation fades, resentment often follows. A man who once felt inspired to give more will eventually start questioning why he is giving at all. Some women may think, why should I constantly appreciate him when he should already know that I care? But this mindset is where many relationships start to erode. Men do not need constant praise, but they do need reassurance. They need to feel like they are more than just providers or problem solvers. They need to feel like their presence is cherished, not just expected. A man who is consistently appreciated will always be drawn to the person who makes him feel that way. He will prioritize the relationship because it is a source of energy and fulfillment rather than stress and obligation. The moment he feels taken for granted, however, his emotional investment begins to decrease. He may not leave physically, but emotionally, he will start to detach. He will stop sharing his thoughts, his dreams, and his struggles. He will stop trying as hard. A woman who understands the power of appreciation has an unshakable influence. She knows that a simple acknowledgement of a man's efforts can inspire him to go above and beyond. She understands that gratitude, spoken out loud, fuels a man's desire to provide, to protect, and to love. And once a man feels truly appreciated, he will go to great lengths to keep that feeling alive. Men move through life carrying burdens they rarely talk about. They are expected to be strong, to provide, to lead, and to protect. Society has conditioned them to believe that showing vulnerability is a weakness, that expressing emotions makes them less of a man. From an early age, they are taught to suppress their feelings, to man up, to handle everything on their own. This conditioning follows them into adulthood, shaping how they interact in relationships and how they respond to stress, disappointment, and failure. Because of this, many men struggle in silence, feeling that they cannot openly express their fears, doubts, or insecurities. They might be battling financial stress, career uncertainty, or personal doubts, but instead of speaking about it, they carry it alone. The world rarely asks how they are doing on a deeper level. They hear instructions, demands, and expectations, but they do not often hear, I believe in you. A man who hears those words from a woman genuinely and consistently feels something that very few people in his life have given him: confidence beyond his own self-belief. He may have his own ambitions, his own drive, and his own inner strength, but when a woman affirms that she believes in him, something shifts inside of him. It fuels his motivation in a way that nothing else can. It reassures him that he is not alone in his fight. He no longer feels like he has to carry everything on his own shoulders. Men thrive in an environment where they feel supported, not just in their successes, but in their struggles. A man who feels like the woman in his life believes in him will push himself further. He will take more risks, set bigger goals, and fight harder to achieve them. Why? Because deep down, every man wants to be a hero in the eyes of the woman he loves. He wants to feel like his efforts are seen, that his struggles are understood, and that no matter how tough things get, she sees his potential even when he does not. But what happens when a man does not feel this belief from the woman in his life? He begins to doubt himself. If the person closest to him does not see his greatness, does not trust his abilities, does not believe in his vision, then a seed of doubt begins to grow. He may not show it, he may not talk about it, but he feels it. He starts questioning whether he is truly capable. He starts hesitating, second-guessing his decisions, and losing confidence in his ability to lead. Many women do not realize how much their words impact a man's self-esteem. A casual remark about how he always messes things up, or how he never gets it right, may seem harmless in the moment, but over time, it erodes his confidence. Criticism, especially when it is constant, makes a man feel like nothing he does is ever enough. And when a man feels that way, he stops trying, he shuts down, he withdraws emotionally. On the other hand, a woman who understands the power of belief can inspire a man to become the best version of himself. She knows that even when he is struggling, when he is doubting himself, when he is feeling lost, her words have the power to lift him up. She does not enable weakness, nor does she ignore problems, but she reinforces his ability to overcome them. She reminds him of his strength. She tells him, I believe in you, not just when things are going well, but when he needs to hear it the most. A man who feels this kind of belief from a woman will move mountains for her. He will push himself beyond his limits. He will work harder, fight longer, and give more. He will not just love her, he will cherish her because he knows that in a world that often overlooks him, she sees him for who he truly is and who he can become. There is no force more powerful in a man's life than the belief of a woman who truly sees his potential. It strengthens him when he is weak. It motivates him when he is tired. And it reassures him when he is uncertain. When a woman understands this, she holds the key to unlocking the best in a man. Not by changing him, but by reminding him of who he was always meant to be. Men, no matter how strong they appear, have an innate need to feel respected. Respect is not just a word to them. It's the foundation of how they view themselves, their worth, and their role in relationships. A man who does not feel respected will never fully open his heart. He may stay physically present, but emotionally he will detach. This is something many women overlook, not because they do not care, but because they do not always understand just how deep this need runs in a man's soul. Respect for a man is more than just polite words or surface-level compliments. It is about how he is treated, how he is spoken to, and how he is valued. A man can handle stress, he can handle struggle, he can handle challenges, but what he cannot handle is being disrespected by the one person who is supposed to stand by him. Disrespect cuts deeper than any hardship he will ever face. When a man feels disrespected, it shakes him to his core, and he will either fight back, withdraw, or completely shut down. One of the biggest mistakes people make in relationships is assuming that love alone is enough. A woman might love a man deeply, but if she does not show him respect, he will not feel loved in the way he needs. Respect is the language that fuels a man's emotional well-being. It tells him that his presence matters, that his efforts are acknowledged, and that his leadership is valued. A man needs to feel like he is not just tolerated, but admired. Not just accepted, but appreciated. The way a woman speaks to a man determines everything. A harsh tone, constant criticism, or belittling words can break a man in ways he will never express. He may not argue, he may not react, but he will remember. He will carry those words with him, and over time they will shape how he sees himself. A man who constantly hears that he is not good enough, that he always makes mistakes, or that he is a failure, will eventually start believing it. Even the strongest man, when repeatedly disrespected, will begin to lose confidence in himself. On the other hand, when a man feels respected, he thrives. He stands taller, he works harder, and he becomes more devoted. A woman who understands this knows that respect is not about blind obedience or submission. It is about recognizing a man's value and treating him accordingly. It is about choosing words carefully, speaking with kindness, even in disagreements, and never making him feel small. It is about acknowledging his efforts, trusting his decisions, and making him feel like his role in the relationship is essential, not just expected. One of the most powerful ways a woman can show respect to a man is by trusting his leadership. This does not mean she should not have her own opinions, her own voice, or her own independence. It means that when she trusts him to lead, she empowers him. Men have an innate desire to protect and provide. But when they feel like their decisions are always questioned, their ideas are dismissed, or their leadership is undermined, they start to doubt themselves. A man who constantly has to prove himself to the woman in his life will eventually stop trying. Respect is also shown in how a woman reacts to a man's struggles. Life is not always easy. A man will have moments of failure, of weakness, of uncertainty. How a woman treats him in those moments will determine everything. Does she stand by him, encourage him, and remind him of his strength? Or does she criticize him, compare him to others, or make him feel like he is not measuring up? A man will always remember the way a woman treated him in his lowest moments. If she stood by him with respect and support, he will never forget it. If she made him feel small, he will never trust her with his deepest struggles again. Another way respect is demonstrated is in how a woman speaks about her man to others. Men notice this more than they show. If she speaks highly of him, if she uplifts him in front of friends and family, he feels valued. But if she constantly complains about him, mocks him, or disrespects him publicly, he will feel deeply hurt. A man wants to know that his woman sees him as someone worth admiring, not someone to be embarrassed about. Respect is also about appreciation. A simple, "I see how hard you work and I respect that," can do more for a man than any grand gesture. It reassures him that his sacrifices are noticed, that his struggles are not in vain. A man will go above and beyond for the woman who makes him feel respected. He will cherish her, protect her, and devote himself to her happiness. But if he feels unappreciated, if he feels constantly criticized or overlooked, he will start to pull away, not always physically, but emotionally. And once a man disconnects emotionally, it is difficult to bring him back. Many women believe that men are simple, that they do not need much. But the truth is, men need more than they ever let on. They need respect. They need admiration. They need to feel like they are making a difference. A man who feels respected will give everything he has. He will work harder, love deeper, and remain loyal. He will not just stay, he will stay engaged, committed, and fully invested. A man carries the weight of silent battles that no one sees. He walks through life with a sense of duty, responsibility, and the pressure to always be in control. Society expects him to be strong, decisive, and unwavering. But beneath that exterior is a human being who also craves reassurance. A man may not always say it outright, but deep down he wants to feel appreciated for everything he does, for everything he sacrifices, and for the effort he puts into making life better for those he loves. Appreciation is more than just acknowledging what a man does. It is recognizing who he is. Many men go through life giving their best to their families, their jobs, and their relationships. But rarely do they hear words that affirm their efforts. They hear about what they did wrong, where they fell short, and what needs improvement. But how often do they hear, "I appreciate you"? Those simple words can change everything. When a man feels appreciated, he moves differently. He has more energy, more drive, and more motivation to keep going because he knows that his efforts are not going unnoticed. Most women underestimate the power of appreciation in a man's life. They assume that because he is supposed to be strong, independent, and capable, he does not need validation. But that is not true. Even the strongest man can feel drained, unmotivated, or unappreciated. He may not express it, but he feels it when his efforts are overlooked. A man who constantly gives without receiving appreciation will eventually feel empty. He will begin to question whether his efforts even matter. Over time, this can lead to emotional distance, frustration, and even resentment. Appreciation is not just about grand gestures or material things. It is about the small, consistent affirmations that remind a man that what he does is valued. It can be as simple as acknowledging the long hours he puts in at work, recognizing how he handles stress, or expressing gratitude for how he supports and protects the people he loves. A woman who understands this will never take a man's efforts for granted. She will make sure he knows that everything he does, no matter how big or small, is seen, valued, and respected. Many men are wired to provide. It is not just about money or status. It is about contributing, making a difference, and being a pillar of strength for those around them. But when a man provides, whether emotionally, financially, or physically, and he feels like it is expected rather than appreciated, it wears him down. He may not say it, but he will feel it. A man who feels like no matter how much he does, it is never enough, will eventually stop trying, not because he does not care, but because he does not feel like his efforts hold any meaning. On the other hand, when a man feels appreciated, he becomes even more committed. He will go above and beyond for the woman who makes him feel valued. He will work harder, give more, and invest himself completely. Why? Because men at their core are driven by a need to be useful, to be needed, and to feel like their presence makes a difference. When a woman understands this, she holds the key to unlocking the best in a man. She does not manipulate or demand. She simply acknowledges and appreciates. And that alone fuels him in ways nothing else can. The way a woman expresses appreciation matters just as much as the appreciation itself. A simple thank you is nice, but true appreciation comes from genuine acknowledgement. It is saying, I see you. I see how hard you work. I see how much you sacrifice. I see the pressure you carry, and I don't take it for granted. It is not just about saying the words. It is about showing it in actions. It is about being considerate, being supportive, and making a man feel like his presence is valued, not just expected. Another powerful form of appreciation is believing in a man's vision. Men are dreamers by nature. They have goals, ambitions, and things they want to accomplish. A man who feels like the woman in his life supports his dreams will push himself even harder to make them a reality. But when a man feels like his dreams are dismissed, belittled, or ignored, he starts to shut down. He may still pursue them, but he will no longer share them with the woman who did not believe in them in the first place. Appreciation also means recognizing the effort, not just the results. Men are problem solvers. They want to fix things, improve things, and make life better. But not every effort will lead to immediate success. A man who feels like he is only valued when he succeeds will start to feel pressure, and that pressure can lead to stress, anxiety, and self-doubt. But a man who knows that his effort is appreciated, even when the outcome is not perfect, will stay motivated to keep pushing forward. The truth is, men do not always ask for appreciation, but they feel the absence of it. They might not say they need it, but they know when it is missing. A woman who understands this does not wait for a man to express his frustration before she acknowledges his efforts. She makes it a habit to show appreciation consistently. And when she does, she will see a different side of him. A man who feels appreciated is a man who is happy, driven, and devoted. He will feel more connected, more engaged, and more invested in making the relationship stronger. A man who feels appreciated will never forget the woman who made him feel that way. He will not take her for granted because he knows she sees him in a way that most people do not. Appreciation is not just about making a man feel good. It is about reinforcing his purpose, his confidence, and his drive. When a man feels valued, he will give his absolute best. Not because he has to, but because he wants to. Men may not always express their emotions the way women do, but they feel deeply. They have moments of doubt, insecurity, and emotional exhaustion, just like anyone else. Yet, they are often expected to suppress these feelings to maintain an image of strength and stability, even when they are struggling internally. This is why encouragement is so important. A man may have all the external success in the world, but if he does not feel supported by the woman in his life, he will still feel empty. Encouragement is the fuel that keeps a man moving forward, that reassures him when he is uncertain, and that strengthens his resolve when he is facing challenges. There is an undeniable power in words, especially when they come from someone a man loves and respects. When a woman speaks life into a man, when she tells him that she believes in him, that she sees his strength, and that she has faith in his abilities, something inside of him shifts. He stands taller. He moves with more confidence. He starts to believe in himself more. Because deep down, every man wants to feel like he has someone in his corner, someone who sees his potential, even when he does not see it himself. Encouragement does not mean blind praise. It is not about flattery or saying things just to make a man feel good in the moment. Real encouragement is rooted in truth. It is about recognizing his struggles and reminding him of his capability to overcome them. It is about pointing out his strengths, not just when he succeeds, but especially when he fails. There will be times when he questions himself, when he feels like he is not enough, when he wonders if he is making the right choices. In those moments, a simple word of encouragement from the right person can change everything. A man who is constantly criticized, doubted, or belittled will begin to lose confidence in himself. He may act as though he does not care, but deep down, those words will stick with him. Over time, he may stop trying as hard, not because he is incapable, but because he feels like nothing he does is ever good enough. This is why encouragement matters. It reinforces a man's sense of worth, reminding him that his efforts are seen and appreciated. Encouragement is also about recognizing the battles a man fights silently. Many men do not openly talk about their fears, their worries, or the pressures they feel. They carry it all on their own, believing it is their responsibility to figure everything out. But just because they do not speak about it does not mean they do not feel it. This is where a woman's intuition and emotional support become invaluable. Being able to sense when he needs reassurance, even if he does not ask for it, is a skill that can strengthen any relationship. Sometimes encouragement comes in the form of listening. Men are often expected to be the ones who solve problems, who offer solutions, who have all the answers. But they too need a space where they can speak freely, without judgment, without being told what they should do. Being a safe space for a man to express himself, without fear of being criticized or dismissed, is one of the greatest forms of support a woman can offer. Knowing that he can talk without being ridiculed or made to feel weak allows him to open up in ways he may never have before. Encouragement also means reminding a man of his past victories. There will be moments when he feels stuck, when he doubts whether he has what it takes to achieve his goals. In those times, reminding him of what he has already overcome, of the strength he has already shown, can reignite his drive. A simple, remember when you thought you couldn't do it, but you did? You've done it before, and you can do it again, can be all he needs to push forward. Another powerful form of encouragement is believing in a man's dreams, even when they are still in the early stages. Many men have ambitions, ideas, and goals that they may not fully express because they are afraid of being dismissed or laughed at. When a woman listens, supports, and encourages him to pursue those dreams, it gives him the motivation to keep going. Even when the odds are against him, knowing that someone believes in him gives him strength. Encouragement is not just about what is said, it is also about actions. It is about showing through support, patience, and understanding that he is not alone. Whether it is through small gestures of kindness, being present when he needs someone to lean on, or simply showing excitement for his achievements, every act of encouragement makes a difference. It tells him that he is valued, that he is capable, and that he is not fighting his battles alone. There is something deeply transformative about being with someone who makes you feel unstoppable. A man who receives consistent encouragement will start to see himself differently. He will carry himself with more confidence, take bigger risks, and push himself harder to succeed. He will become more resilient, more determined, and more focused. Not because he suddenly gained new abilities, but because he was reminded of the strength he already had within him. Encouragement builds a foundation of trust and connection. A man who feels supported will always remember who stood by him when he was at his lowest. He will never forget the words that lifted him up, the actions that reassured him, and the presence that made him feel like he could take on anything. Encouragement is not just about making a man feel good in the moment. It is about empowering him for a lifetime.